And we should be live. Looks like it's all green. Good. So, the dev server for the update Sky Guardians. Hello there, Nick, and welcome to the stream. So, as usual, I'm mainly going to cover the naval stuff. However, if there's anything else from the update you want me to look at, I can do that. It's just that my knowledge only really extends to the naval stuff. Okay. So yeah. Yeah, I don't have interest for my streams really. Should maybe work on that. But we are going to first look at the American stuff. So as you might see from the loadouts, we have two ships. We already had that look for the both of them. That being the Nevada, coming after Wyoming and before Arizona. And we have the Des Moines. I'm not going to really look at the Des Moines because I already have a video on the Newport News. The Des Moines is practically the Newport News, but just with more 76s. Nevada, on the other hand, let's take a closer look at that. I will show the shells. I'll do that first. I'll show you the shells first. So this is the high explosive. And this is the AP. To me, on first regards, it seem like good AP shells, but I'm not too familiar with the Arizona's AP. Is it the same AP shell? Yep, not customization, modifications. It is the same AP shell as the Arizona. However, do take into account that this is the dev server. Things might change. But at the same time, they might also stay the same. But yes, currently it's the same shells as the Arizona. However, it does have, of course, the modernized anti-air suite, and I love the look of the Nevada. I really do. It's definitely one of the ships I'm going to try and get as soon as possible when this update hits. Yeah, potentially it has better shells, although I'm not too familiar with what the Mark 16s actually are, shell-wise. But they might be better. So armor-wise, let's take a look. Show external armor. 343 belt is not the worst, but it doesn't extend quite far, leaving a lot of crew vulnerable. 330, 18-inch turret fronts, and 16-inch on the dual turrets. What else do we have? What does that protect? That protects the ammo. But at the same time, I'm seeing, is this ammo above or below waterline? That's below waterline, barely. Another thing from the dev server, these colors. The kinds of modules are now color graded. So like armor modules, I think, are these orange. Red is anything to do with the guns, the main armament, or just armament in general. Blue is to do with the support for the armament, like optics and fire control and stuff like that. Green is engines, all that good stuff. I wasn't the biggest fan when I first saw this on the dev stream, but I'm growing to like it, as you can actually clearly see what is what now. Magazines over shell... Oh no, they're at the same level. Is it a magazine outside of armor? No, that isn't. I think that should be pretty good protection. Magazines just below the waterline. Although with battleship caliber guns it can still be hit. You still have shell rooms in the barbette. And ready ammo on the secondaries. What is the armor on the Arizona? It's the closest comparison. And I keep misclicking. What is the armor on the Arizona? It is the same armor as the Arizona. Okay. And the same, yeah, so it's probably going to be just as vulnerable as the Arizona then when it comes to detonations. Which is a shame, but kind of expected at the same time. But I think the Nevada will be a nice addition. Especially with all that nice anti-air. Let's actually test sail it, shall we? Just to have a closer look at it. And I'll showcase you something else at the same time. Yeah, they're not very different. There we go.
Secure the
Let's
ship
put
for
the
sea.
guns on anti-air only. It is a significant upgrade in anti-air firepower, that's for sure.
Engines, flank speed.
WT bridge. Spotted on radar. Fighter. Ahead!
20 mils aren't really hitting their mark, but still.
Action stationed. Enemy spotted.
Air attack
There we
alert.
go. Another thing I want to show is that the smoke has a different graphic. The graphics for the smoke have been a bit improved. Looks-wise, I think they're... I prefer the Nevadas look over the Arizona. I just
Starboard
like
your
these
helm.
huge superstructures. It will still have the same problems as the Arizona, although yeah, 2 less guns. It is the predecessor to the Arizona itself. Well, to the class of ship it is the Arizona. Yes, I saw that as well. I'll get to that later after done my ship. Yeah, a bunch of aircraft actually got new payloads. With the Lancaster Stallboy, of course, or whatever it is, being more famous. Oh, that's another thing. Kill feeds will actually show you what hit you when it killed you. So if you suddenly you lose your ship, you know what you got, what sunk you. So let's say you suddenly detonate, you don't know what you got hit by, you'll know now. Which is a nice change. And maybe something to actually show how the HE bug is still a thing. It's not it's not the Dam Buster bomb. That's a completely different type of bomb on the Lancaster. That's like a barrel underneath the bomber. So yes, that is USS Nevada. I think a very lovely addition. It's nothing game-changing, but it's definitely a nice addition. A bit weird that it comes before Arizona, seeing as I tend to treat the anti-air refits as better. But I'm not complaining. Yeah, it does have the same reload as the Arizona. But it's not that bad for the gunpowder you get out of it. Again, Des Moines, I'm not going to cover Des Moines. But then you see camos. What do I mean with camos? Well, the larger blue water vessels also have camos now. So for example, Arizona has a unicolor blue. I'm not the greatest fan of the American blue water camos. This is the Atlantic camo and the Pacific camo. I'm not the biggest fan of them. Of course, you can always change the scale so it's more to your liking or not. But yes, the larger blue water vessels now have camos as well. This includes the cruisers. They also have camos. Same camos. It's similar to the destroyers where you just have 3 template camos to choose from. Nothing too different. Yes, even the Trenton has camo options. But it's something to work towards. Currently on the dev server they don't actually have an unlock requirement, but I assume that they will gain an unlock requirement when they go to live. So don't be too worried about that. However, what I must point out, the modern destroyers don't have camo still. But then you have a modern cruiser like the Pittsburgh, although you can question whether or not that's a modern cruiser, does have camos. Don't know what's up with that, but that's how it is. Then next on for ships, we'll move to Germany, where we have the Pile or the Arrow, which is Coastal Fleet, of course, comes after the Hugin at 4-3. Now, some of you might be familiar with this hull already because it's a British Brave Border, where they replaced the 40mm Bofors with the L70 Bofors, so the rapid-fire ones. Basically, yeah, it's just another, like, a familiar hull, just like the Hugin, but with L70 Bofors instead of L60 Bofors. Kind of weird, in my opinion, to have it added. The torpedoes aren't the greatest either, the British torpedoes, but I'm not going to complain about it. It should be an alright ship. Then I'll go over the camos. Does it have different torpedoes from the Brave Border? Actually, double check. It has the Mark 8. The Brave Border. Oop, I'm already spoiling what will be next, but it will. Brave Border has Mark 8s. It's the same torpedoes. It is the same torpedoes as the Brave Border. It should be this hull, although the bridge is different. I don't know what it's based on, but it's basically that. And then I'll go over the blue water camos that are getting added. And my connection is again just dying. I'll give it a moment. There we go. So, the blue water camos for the Germans is a unicolor. It's a darker grey, but you can't really notice. Then you have a pretty nice one. It'll get this update. I'll show it to you in a bit. I'll actually show it to you after these camos. Yes, some nice blue water camos. Of course, also on the bigger cruisers, although you can't really notice the grey too much. But yes, nice camos. I can't showcase the German battleships because I don't have any. Because sometimes they do have different camos, the battleships. Ah, yes, that's another thing. Thank you for reminding me, Trick. In modifications, these modifications used to be linked to one another. So you had to go get the anti-air, then the auxiliary armament, and then you could only get the primary. They've broken it up, so now you don't have to get these. So for example, if you're playing a battleship with really slow turrets, you can just skip these two, get whatever other upgrades you want, and then get the main armament upgrade. Really good stuff. What was I going to show again? Lancasters, that's right. I was going to showcase the Lancasters. If you go to secondary weapons, there you have them. However, there is some sort of hard limit when it comes to calculating explosive mass, from what I've heard. So even though the explosive mass of these two bombs is wildly different, they have the same armor penetration, the same destruction radius, and the same fragmentation. Actually, they don't have the same fragmentation radius. But yeah, they have the same destruction radius and the same penetration. I do not have the Hipper unlocked either. Very sorry about that. I haven't really focused my my geometry too much, even though I really should. Yes, the Lancasters. But I'll get to the other changes first, later. I do have the dev notes open on my phone as well. I'll look through that later. But first, boats. So we did the German stuff, Russian stuff. One new, very weird coastal vessel. MPK PR 204 sitting after 201. It's a rank 4, so it is relatively cheap to get, but it's such a funky ship. Look at it. So the main guns are in the middle of the ship. It has the RBU 6000's rocket launchers at the front, this weird staggered formation. It is pretty quick. It also has the coastal spawn, and if you wouldn't believe me, the coastal damage model. As you can see, it's a whole segment. This is a very odd ship. I'm not going to complain about it because it is still relatively cheap. The main gun is very weirdly placed, but it should have all right firing angles. It does also get AP, which is good. Gets AP. The torpedoes are pretty mediocre, but they are anti-submarine torpedoes after all. It's a weird ship, but I'm not going to complain about it. Yeah, it does look like it would be like an event ship, doesn't it? But it's just an attack tree, and I think it's fine, because it's the earliest at which you can have this rocket launcher and this gun. I think it's also the cheapest vessel with this armament. Like the SKR gets it, of course, but then you have to grind them. If this was a rank 5, I would have been less happy about it. But because it's a rank 4, it's a good addition. And that's it for the naval editions. Let's look at the camos. I'll showcase it on Kirov. So you have the unicolor, kind of blue-grayish. You have the Arctic Fleet camo, which is alright. And you have this camo. This is a good one. Again, I don't know which of these camos will be free to unlock and which ones will be just to purchase, like the destroyers. But I'm betting that this one at least is going to be free to unlock. And maybe this one? I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see. Yes, that's the Russian camos. Let's showcase it on these ships. I think they're pretty nice. And as a reminder, you can still use user camos. They'll just be like everybody else will see this camo, but you'll see your own user camo. So it's still worthwhile getting them, I think. And again to note, modern destroyers do not have camos. That's a marketplace camo I bought, but they don't have normal unlockable camos. Then we go to Great Britain with quite an interesting assortment of additions. So the Whitby, that being a coastal premium. The Blackpool now has a premium version, the Whitby. I actually think this is a worthwhile premium to get if you genuinely want to grind the British coastal tree with. Because I currently have the Spey, and I'm telling you, it's not the best ship to grind with. I'm genuinely actually considering getting the Whitby because the Blackpool is not a bad frigate. Also, it is very pricey. And between the Orla and the Whitby, I would recommend the Whitby. Because a full-on frigate is just much better than the kind of half-assed that the Orla is. Then the other new ship, as you might have seen, is the Terra Nova. A very weird frigate. Actually, I need to double check if it is a frigate, but it should be. Let me do this. This gun also doesn't have any kind of AP. Let's see if we can have a sap round. Where are the crew compartments of the ship? There's one. Yep, so it is a frigate, has a frigate damage model, clearly. And the Terra Nova has a secondary turret, which might be familiar to some of you, because it's the same turret you'd see on the rare event vehicle HMS Tiger for a secondary. So that turret becomes the main gun of the Terra Nova. It's not the worst gun, but VT, the HE only is a bit worse. Then you also have a secondary gun in the form of the American 76s, a turret you might be familiar with on the Chicago. Also carries VT and only VT. Let me actually showcase this and test sail the ship. So here we go. So that is a secondary turret independent of your main armament.
Engines,
Your
flank
main
speed.
gun turret is a rapid fire 76. And these dual 76 in the rear are pretty good anti-aircraft guns, especially with their HEVT.
Enemy spotted.
It does only fire in short bursts because it does overheat, whilst the main gun does not overheat. So you can just keep firing. The problem, of course, being that the VT doesn't do a lot of damage against ships.
Starboard, forward.
As you might be able to see, if I can actually hit this destroyer. It doesn't penetrate the hull of destroyers. So you'll definitely want to try and hunt down coastal vessels in this ship. Which at 3.7 might be quite rare. But that should be an interesting ship. It should have, yes. I didn't test it, but it should have access to radar targeting. Because it did have a search and track radar. Pretty nifty ship, for as far as I know. So yeah, another British frigate. Although, I do hope it actually does get a SAP or AP round in one of the two turrets. Because HE only will be a detriment to it. Then we have the camos for the blue water ships. I'm already going to warn you, I'm not the biggest fan of these camos. I think they're actually pretty ugly. So we have a brown camo, which is just not a great fan of. Just absolutely not. This is alright, although it's a bit too desert camo-ish and not really a naval camo in my opinion. And then the third one is probably the best of the three, but it just looks weird in my eyes. Yeah. The limbo mortars at the moment are fixed on the Whitby and the other frigates. In reality, they should be able to be targetable freely. some reason they're fixed at the moment, which is very strange. Yes, British naval camos. Not the greatest fan of them, to be honest. Are they different on battleships? Doesn't look like it. Yeah, that one definitely looks best, but I get the feeling that that is not going to be a freely unlockable camo. The Force Z camos. And then we'll go to... yeah. Then I'll go to Japan, where we have, of course, the Ninohi, the Hatsuharu class destroyer. Where is it? There she is, 1000 GE as expected. I've already done a video on Ninohi, it's just another Japanese destroyer. What I am shocked about, though, is that it has the long lance torpedoes. I didn't think it would have long lances. But it does have long lances. So that's good. Of course, it only has 6 and a broadside. It's gonna be alright. Yeah, 1.24 and 2.6. What is that compared to the others? That is a pretty good. It's a slightly higher SL modifier than Hayanami, but it's the same RP modifier. But yeah, it's a Japanese premium. Nothing too special if you already have Yudachi. Yudachi is just better for grinding anyways, although it's a higher BR. Yeah, it's just so many premiums. I could show you the Des Moines, but there isn't really much to tell you about Des Moines. I'll show it to you, but there's nothing much to tell you about it. Here it is. It has tons and tons of 76s compared to the Newport News, but other than that, there's nothing different about the Des Moines. It has the same... oh, thank you for the subscription. If I can catch who it was, but I can't. I really need to figure out how to see that. But yes, it still has the same vulnerable front ammo rack, so... yeah, it is just the premium version of the Newport News. And again, I wouldn't really recommend it. So what do we're at Japan, right? Yes. Now, the camos for Japan. I'll just showcase on this ship. We have the unicolor green. I'm a great fan of it, and I'm definitely going to go for it. We have the... this one I'm also actually quite a fan of. The multicolor. And then we have Asiatic Fleet. And my connection start again for a second. There we go. However, the Japanese battleships, especially the late ones, have a different camo available. So you have the unicolor green, you have the multicolor, and you have a different kind of Asiatic Fleet camo, which is kind of cool looking. I'm not sure what to think about this camo. And of course you can scale the camos however you want. Yeah. So all the big blue water ships now have unlockable camos. Except for some of the more modern ships. They don't. And that's it I have to show for Japan. Yeah, just an Ninohi. Then we come to Italy. Where first I'm going to show you the camos. I'll show you on Trento. Trento also looks... the white seems whiter on the Trento than I remember, but oh well. We have the turquoise, greenish blue. We have the black green, which is quite a good camo, I think, for these cruisers. Also, I need to put that scale down. There we go. And we have this camo. Good camos. Now, this, if you look closely, how do I pronounce it? Caio Dulio is what I'm going to show you next in just one moment. We have, where is it? There we go. And I am going to show you, we have a modernized Italian battleship in the files. So yeah, what this is the... let's actually look. What this is the Andre Doria but the middle turret is removed for more engine capacity. The main guns are bored out, and more secondaries and anti-air. So this is going to be a very nice battleship addition for Italy, if we're getting it this update. There's no guarantees on it yet, but it does look like we might get it this update. Let me see if I have any other images of it. I do. Some other angles. There you have another angle of it. And here's another one. So definitely a battleship I am looking forward to. And I think many Italian mains are also looking forward to. There are, as you can see, other images in this folder, but we'll get there when we get there. So now back to this. So that's it for Italy. And then, of course, we have the long-awaited French ships with Aigle first. Also, I am going to horribly butcher any French name. Please forgive me. But that's just how it's going to be. So the Aigle, our first pre-order ship for France. I've test sailed it a bit, and it actually doesn't look that bad. So if you look at the speed, 60 kph, but that's stock, I think. 5 guns, 5 big guns. Armor, of course, being non-existent. X-ray, the ammo is just below the waterline. Same for the rear guns. You do have large ready racks. Those might explode upon contact with the enemy. You have fuel tanks protecting the engines. So just from the X-ray view alone, it looks pretty good. Then we go to the modifications and look at all of its shells. So we have a chunky high explosive shell. And a pretty good sub shell too. Let's test sail the Aigle, shall we? I'm going to test sail it in reference in realistic battle. Yep. I should have taken torpedoes, but it doesn't really matter. I'll take a look at the torpedoes again when I'm back in the hangar. And there we go. French voice lines 2. One negative of the Aigle is the horribly slow turret reverse. That is something you have to be careful of. Anti-air is also pretty mediocre, with only some hand-loaded 37s and 13.2mm machine guns. But let's get these guns on targets, and that's definitely the worst aspect. It isn't that bad, it is... I mean, if you take a look at it, that velocity isn't too bad. It is on the slower end, but it's definitely manageable. It's not like... Also, that sap, genuinely, I've been shooting this German destroyer every single time. I've been one-shotting it constantly. It is a pretty meaty shell on this ship. The reload is also pretty good with a 6-second reload. You might think, okay, what happens when the ready racks actually go empty? Then the reload goes to 8-something seconds, which is still manageable. It's on the long side for a destroyer, but it's definitely manageable. So all in all, this is a pretty alright destroyer. Anti-air is maybe a bit lacking for a 4.3, but I think it's pretty good. Also, again, look at the smoke. It's a new graphic for it. And I quite like it. Definitely growing on me. Another thing I will add, I am going to get the French pre-order ships, however many there are, and I am going to make a review on them. So if you're thinking about buying these things, maybe wait until I make a video, maybe wait until I play a few battles in the ship, see how it goes. Because you don't really want to buy ships if you don't know if they're going to be good or not, but I am definitely going to get this ship. I'm probably going to play it on stream as well. And I am going to make a review on these ships. I say ships plural because there is a second ship for France in the files. I'm going to show you in a bit. Yes, it is pretty fast. It goes 67 kph in realistic. That is perfectly acceptable for a destroyer. Again, the only problem is the absolutely horrible turret reverse. Other than that, perfectly acceptable destroyer. Let's see how she handles in a turn. Pretty alright. A bit on the slow side, but still good enough. But yeah, this should be a pretty alright destroyer. Let's go back to the hangar. So it is on the low side for the RP modifiers. Again, look, 1.18. Let's look at some other rank 2s. 1.3. We have 1.24. 1.24. 1.24. That's rank 3, that's not rank 2. 1.3. So it is the lowest RP modifier of any rank 2 destroyer. So that might be a concern. But we also have... Yes, you already know what's coming up. If you see the loadout, we have a second ship for France in the files, which I'm going to show you right now. The Duguay-Trouin, and I'm absolutely sorry if I butchered that pronunciation, that's the best I can do, is, and let me just quickly do my transition again. There we have it. A French 1920s cruiser, however, with in a 44 retrofit. How do I know it's a 44 retrofit? Well, we have this image of the Duguay-Trouin in 44 with all these anti-air upgrades. And if you look at the bridge, you have these 20 mils, this 40 mil. And when you look here, you see a 40 mil and a 20 mils. So this is most likely the cruiser in the 1944 refit with an actual anti-air suite. I have no clue what its speed is, what its armor is, what the effectiveness of its shells are. No clue about it. But this is also most likely going to be another pre-order ship. And let me just wait for my connection to get back up. There we go. This ship is most likely going to be another pre-order ship, and I am going to get it as well, for certain. So, just if you're curious whether you should buy these French pre-order ships, I am going to get them. I am going to review them. If you're doubtful on whether or not you should get it. Yeah, I know you posted all, but I'm not going to look into that now. I'm going to read it on my own pace. Maybe make a post about it later, or a video on it. That reminds me, I am only going to do a video on the update after the update actually goes live. I'm not going to make devserver videos again. So yes, that is all the French ships we know of for now. Let's get back to that. And that is it for the ships. That is it for all the new actual ship introductions and new stuff. Let me just read through the dev notes to see if there's anything else. When will it hit? I don't know, another week or two, maybe? Ah yes, the French sled ship, but that's not really my expertise. I am expecting this update in 2 weeks. I don't know when it will hit, but I am expecting it at the beginning of next month. Let me just read through the dev notes again. If there's anything else naval based. I already showed the modifications being changed. Ah yes, I almost forgot. Let's see. I'm just gonna double check something first. The Professor still doesn't have float planes, but if you go to a ship with a float plane and you test sail the ship, and you get ready for the float planes, just have to wait for that cooldown to run out. Go, let's launch the plane. Go. They also now have the circling function. So let's get this thing in the air. Let's maybe drop the payload. It gets a bit lighter. We'll press H. It levels off and gets in return. And if we go back to the ship, it'll rotate in a circle now. It is still a pretty wide circle, but hey, something at least. If we go back, it'll still stay in the turn. Yeah, it's a very, very wide circle turn. But now it's just a simple... It's a thing that exists now. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to use it that much, but it's something that exists. Anything else for ships? Let me take a look. Ah, the research and purchasing costs of the Wyoming have been decreased. Because of the Nevada being introduced, of course. The Wyoming's now there. The Wyoming is now 220,000 RP instead of 320,000. And comes from a purchase price of 790,000 SL to 610,000. That's pretty good. Anything else? That is all I have to show for naval, I think. If there's anything else you guys want me to look at from the dev server, ask ahead. I'll take a look at it anyways. Not that I can really tell you much about it, but I can show you. I'm just going to go through the patch notes still. No, there's no fix to Newport's armor. The armor fix part, that never really means anything. Like, if they don't specify what it means, it's usually just like very minor stuff. Oh yeah, the Italian. Yes, Trick, that's right, the Italian. Abruzzi has had an armor fix. Abruzzi before had, hold on, let me zoom in. This ammo rack on Abruzzi, the frontal one, would be outside of the armor. However, now it is inside of the 100mm armored box, if just barely. Oh yeah, I'll showcase Glorious Mags as well, but I don't know the live version of it. It's not the biggest change, I think, because it wasn't that detonatable to begin with. But just Glorious's main gun magazines are so deep in the water now, you can never hit them with anything, any ship main armament. You'll never hit them. Other than that... there's not much else I really want to show. There's a bunch of bomber change, like a bunch of bombs have been added. Bow fighters got reworked. B-29 has new bombs, stuff like that. But other than that, yeah. So if any of you want me to showcase anything, tell me. I'll take a look. But I am done on the naval part. I'm pretty much looking forward to any friendship, especially their battleships. Yeah, the B-29, because he's asked. B-29 bombs, where's B-29? There it is. B-29 has 4,000 pound bombs. Pretty substantial, I think. It's something. Yeah, that's it really. Let me just keep looking if I'm missing anything, but I don't think I am. Are there any new prop planes? There genuinely aren't any new propeller planes. I'm looking at the list of aircraft added in the dev notes. There aren't any new ones. They're all jets. There is the copy-paste I-15. Yes, there's the new premium. But that's it. All the other aircraft added that I see on the list are jets. Oh, they definitely will affect naval. The Lancaster will now be an actual viable aircraft to take into naval, as long as you can get it to altitude. What is EBR of the Lancaster again? 5.3? That might be a viable ship, a viable plane for naval. What's the... I think the good thing about the P8 is the fact that it's at destroyer BRs. That is such a low BR for such a big bomb. That's what makes the P8 very good. A Lancaster is already at a BR where most cruisers actually have a decent anti-air suite. But it can be a very dangerous bomb, and against some battleships, definitely. I mean, the B-29 technically is at a BR where it can bomb battleships. Actually, no, it isn't. Oof. Was it also 7.3 in realistic? Damn. Yeah, that's just it for naval. I do like all the new. Let me just test sell something again. Going to take the. Actually, let me showcase something that I only got to know recently of the Type 51B. So apparently, I am not going to press spacebar, right? I'm not going to press spacebar. So apparently if you fire your main guns on the Type 51B, you'll launch your left-hand side torpedo. And now I'm going to only hold down spacebar. If you hold down the torpedo button, you'll fire your right-hand side 25mm. I don't even know when this bug rolled into this, and I only got to know about it today. It's such a weird bug. Ooh, I was also going to do something. I was actually going to try and get the kill feed message to pop up with depth charges, so let's do that. Also, yeah, smoke effects from the actual exhaust of coastal vessels as well being thicker. Closer. Oh yeah, they were saying something about that this got changed. Yeah, they changed it because this used to still have the old aiming system in it. The F1 menu. It seems they have changed it to the new system now. Not that I ever really used that F1 menu. A lot changed on the bow fighters. Actually, I'll go over it, Rick, in just a second. I just want to get the... Hello there. You have sadly missed all of the naval news actually already covered. Depth charge notification. I do like the fact that you now know what actually shot you down or killed you or sunk you. Bow fighters is what I'm going to show you next. Bow fighters, bow fighters, bow fighters. Let's go to Mark 10. I mostly play naval. I do some aircraft, tanks, not really. But I mostly play naval. Yes, they've got new ordnance options. They've got 1,000-pound bombs, bigger bombs, new models in general, I think. They should have got new models, but yeah, the ordnance is definitely the first thing that's noticeable. TU2 got more bombs, from what I saw. They now can carry 3 1000. Or something like that. But yeah, all that kind of stuff. Is it out? It is out of place now, isn't it? God damn it. That tends to happen quite often. Oh, does the IL-10 have custom loadouts now? It does. I don't have the IL-10. I think. No, I don't have any of the IL-10s. So it's just, yeah. Should still be the same armament as it usually has, I think. A bunch of stuff actually got custom loadouts, including the Brigand. Why would the Brigand have custom loadouts? Can you carry the rockets and the bombs? You can. But that's too heavy then, isn't it? Yep. Yes, let's discard it. So yeah, more planes got more loadout options. I'm guessing they're just going to extend it all the way to most planes, really. But yeah. Bunch of napalm bombs have also been added. Including to a bunch of German bombers now have napalm bombs. Yep, just 250 kilo napalm bombs. Which napalm bombs are actually really good at base killing and destroying bases. Did you miss anything crazy? Well, yes. You missed 2 ships that are in the... Let me actually put those images up again. So there are 2 ships hidden in the files. If I can find them again, where are they? Okay, that should do it. Let me just show you again. So we have a... I keep forgetting the name of this Italian ship, but this Italian battleship with the bored out guns, so they're now 320 mils, actual secondary suite, improved engine power, is basically just an entire reconstruction of the Doria. Yes. And we also have the... I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name, but you can see it in the top left corner here. French cruiser. Most likely going to be another pre-order cruiser for the French. Or another pre-order ship. It does come in the late 44 refit with an anti-air suite. But yeah, I can't say much more about it yet because we don't actually have it yet. Yeah, that's about the only crazy stuff you've missed. How do you grind out types? I just pay them all. That's what I always do. Fully upgrade them. Tends to work. Although I'm a bit close on that. Other than that, there's no damage model changes for naval. There's no drastic shovel changes for as far as I can see. There's nothing drastic changed for naval. Just a bunch of new ships. The French Navy getting closer and closer. Yeah. Don't know what else to say, really. And I think, unless anybody else wants to look at something else, I'll end it here for tonight. As I don't have much else to show you all. I hope I didn't lose too many frames during streaming this, so you can just rewind the stream or look back at it later to see what I've gone over. And I'll leave it at that for tonight. I plan to just stream a normal naval stream tomorrow, because I didn't stream a regular naval stream today. So normal stream tomorrow. And then just wait for the update, I guess. Then I'm going to make a video on the update when the update goes live. And again, if you're uncertain about getting the French ships, wait, because I am going to get the French pre-order ships, however many there are, and I'm going to make a review on them as well before the next update comes out. So if you're still hesitant on whether or not you should get French ships, just wait until I do my reviews on them, see if you think if it looks good or not, and we'll see from there. Yep, and I'll leave you at that for tonight. If if more stuff gets revealed during the weekend, during this entire dev stream, I'll make YouTube posts about them. And yeah, that'll be it. Or I'll talk about it tomorrow when I do the normal stream. I might actually do that as well. But now I'm finally going to leave you for tonight, and thank you for watching. And I'll see you all hopefully tomorrow.